Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Saturday, November 26th. I'm your host, John June. Of course, I got my guy, Greg Penniman, with me. Greg, how you doing? How's your Thanksgiving, my guy?
It was good. It was solid. Had a good one. Spent with a lot of family. Great actually Thanksgiving games. Three pretty good close ones. So that was nice. I'm with the way Thanksgiving started. This week should be great.
Yeah, definitely some great games. I think, two of the three went down to the wire. The Giants-Cowboys game was pretty close up until I think halfway through the start of the fourth quarter. We could sit here and talk about all these games and spend a lot of time doing that. But obviously, we have 13 other games that we have to discuss. So, our Thursday night quick hits, our Thursday quick hits in this instance, Greg, just give me, one or two guys that you thought had some really good performances, coming from Thursday. It could be under the radar guys, could be, guys that we expected from, whatever.
We get some love to the people that, don't usually. Isaiah McKenzie, that was nice to see him get that, that usage there, getting back to the slot receiver and having a good day, pretty good day actually. And primetime Kirk Cousins, man, I cannot believe it, man. The man he had his game, so proud of him. Hopefully, we could have more performances like this in big games for him, because it seems like the Vikings are going to be coming down to the wire, trying to get that, one of those top seeds in the NFC.
Yeah, no, Isaiah McKenzie definitely had a great game. I was, definitely on board with that one. I think Mac Jones had probably his best game of his career. Over 380 yards, 2 touchdown passes. So, it was a good performance by him, and hopefully continue to elevate those pieces in that offense, because weekly we've been saying it's only Ramondre and Jacoby Myers you could play, but we saw Devontae Parker had a good game, and
Nelson Aguilar
had a good game as well. So, it was definitely good to see. And then on the Cowboys side, Michael Gallup stuck out. He had a great game.
Finally.
A lot of tough catches as well. Some contested catches. I thought he played really well in that game. So I was excited to see. And I'll cheat a little bit. I'll do a third because Amon-Ra killed. And
man, that's automatic. That's automatic. Ross St. Brown, yo. Oh man, yeah, love to see him always ball, man. Get his respect, especially on prime time. I mean, not a prime time, but the only game on. So
yeah, it's an island game.
Yeah, island game. Yeah, people got to really see Amon-Ra in full effect.
Yeah, definitely. Telling you, man. I mean, Trey White's back, but that Bills defense is one that I think we could continue to attack. I'm gonna keep attacking them until they show us differently, for pretty much. But
right.
All right. Not gonna discuss any particular injury issues in detail, because we are going to discuss every single game that has not been played for week 12 yet. So, and as we know, there's no players on bye. So pretty much, or no teams on bye rather. So pretty much gonna cover all 13 games that haven't been played. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And these lines are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. # not a sponsor. But the 7-3 Baltimore Ravens traveled to Jacksonville to take on the 3-7 Jacksonville Jaguars. This game has a 43.5 point total, where the Jacksonville Jaguars are 4-point home underdogs. In terms of the weather, it's actually a rainy weekend this week, specifically in the Northeast. So a lot of rain, some wind in some places. So definitely something to be mindful of as you set your lineups. Obviously, I'll give you a heads up about which games have rain, which games don't. But obviously, as we get closer to kickoff, you want to monitor the weather situation, because it could be the tiebreaker in some of these start decisions that you have to make. But In this game here, there's going to be some rain for Baltimore in terms of injuries. Demarcus Robinson, the wide receiver, he's questionable with the hip. Lamar Jackson was also questionable with the hip on the injury report pretty much all week, but he was pulled off the injury report on Friday. So if you are playing in super flex leagues, or if you are the Lamar Jackson manager gearing up for a playoff run, secure Tyler Huntley, please. Like, I don't, not really of the frame of mind of like going with the quarterback insurance policy, but with Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, we've seen come in and do 80% of what Lamar Jackson does, 90% of what Lamar Jackson does. And if you are in a one quarterback league, that's a huge advantage, one that you want to continue to maintain. If you are in a two quarterback league, obviously quarterbacks are as valuable as running backs in that instance. So having the backup quarterback sometimes is not a bad idea. I'm not saying to go roster Colt McCoy if you have Kyler Murray, but this is a specific instance where the Ravens have a backup that fits the mold of the starter. So enough about that. Devin Duvernay, he's questionable with the hamstring. Left tackle Ronnie Stanley, he's out. So that's actually a pretty big blow for the Baltimore offensive line. And then for Jacksonville, Kayvon Chason, the pass rusher, he is designated to return from injury reserve with a knee injury. So, Greg, I'm going to kick it to you. Where are you going with this matchup here?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Baltimore to cover and Baltimore to win. On Baltimore side, gotta stick Lamar Jackson as long as he's healthy. He's playing. He's a QB1. As far as their pieces around them, Gus Edwards, lower in RB2. I mean, more RB3. High in RB2. Low in RB2 upside. As far as Mark Andrews being out there, he's healthy. Top tight end option that you're throwing out there every week. It's probably the guys I could really rely on. I gotta probably see it again from a guy like Demarcus Robinson to kind of put him out there with confidence. So I'm gonna stick with the Gus Edwards running game, Lamar and Mark Andrews. On the Jacksonville side, Trevor Lawrence is a QB2, high in QB2. I think he could have a decent day here. Travis Etienne, of course, high in RB1. Zay Jones, the receivers, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones. I think those are receivers I'm looking at. Christian Kirk being the one, having some wide receiver two, strong wide receiver two upside. Zay Jones still getting targeted a lot throughout the season, so I think he's a solid, flex option. And Evan Ingram, borderline tight end one, depending on how the day goes. He's been pretty up and down a lot this year. I mean, that's being a tight end, but you're playing him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over here. I'm gonna take Baltimore to cover. I'm gonna take Baltimore to win. On the Baltimore side, yeah, Lamar, obviously he's a QB1. Mark Andrews, he's a tight end one. I'm willing to go out there with Demarcus Robinson. Had at least eight targets in two of his last three. So that's pretty solid there. And the Ravens don't have a number one receiver outside of Mark Andrews that you could really depend on. And Jacksonville's a little vulnerable in that spot. So if you're desperate, I get it, the hesitancy, but if you're really hurting or you need some help, I think you can go there. Gus Edwards, definitely agree with your assessment. RB2, RB3, have him probably closer to an RB3, but could finish as an RB2 based on the matchup and how healthy he is coming into this matchup. For Jacksonville, Travis Etienne, I feel like it's been forever since we talked about this guy. But yeah, he's an RB1 if you've forgotten. Trevor Lawrence, the matchup in Yahoo will like say green, but this is not a great matchup for Trevor Lawrence. Baltimore's been much better as a pass defense, so he's going to be a QB2 for me. Christian Kirk, wide receiver 2, and then Zay Jones, yeah, he's a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 flex option there. And then Evan Ingram, yeah, he's been super disappointing. I have him as a lower tier tight end 2, but you could tell yourself the story here. I mean, with so many teams not on bye, maybe you don't have to go to Evan Ingram. I don't know what your particular tight end
Yeah,
situation
true,
is
true.
in your league, but yeah, that's kind of where I stand there. All right, let's move on to this next matchup. Oh God. The
Oof.
3-7, 3-7 Denver Broncos travel to Carolina to take on the 3-8 Carolina Panthers. This game has a 41.5 point total. Again, there is expected to be rain in this game for Carolina in terms of the injuries. Quarterback PJ Walker, he's doubtful with an ankle. Uh, Linebacker Corey Littleton, he is linebacker Corey Littleton, defensive tackle Matt Ioannidis, and cornerback Miles Hartfield. They're all out of this game. For Carolina, continuing for Carolina, Terrace Marshall Jr., he's questionable with a shoulder. And then on the Denver side, wide receivers KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy are both out of this game. Defensive tackle Jonathan Harris is also out of this game. In terms of the game here, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to cover, and I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to win. You know, as bad as Denver's been, Sam Darnold starting this game, and that Denver defense is pretty elite. So yeah, this game is going to be ugly, man. Taking on the Carolina side, maybe DJ Moore in this matchup as a wide receiver 3 or 4. I mean, he had a lot of success last year with Sam Darnold throwing a lot of balls underneath and whatnot, and there's no Christian McCaffrey, so maybe it's just as long as Baker's not back there, I guess, right? Like as long as
Yeah.
Baker's not back there, DJ Moore is going to get the football. For the Denver side, Latavius Murray, he's an RB2. Kendall Hinton is probably the wide receiver that I want to go with over Cortland Sutton. I mean, he's seeing targets. He's been more productive with his targets. Not that I'm excited to play anybody from this pass offense, but I'm just saying if you are desperate and you need to go somewhere, Kendall Hinton is probably the bet. And then Greg Dulcich is a play as a tight end one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under as well. I think I'm gonna take Carolina to cover and Carolina to win. I mean, they're both just really bad teams, but Denver has just been. I mean, they couldn't get it done against Vegas last week. So on the road, both defenses are gonna just eat each other up. So it's gonna be tough. But on the Broncos side, yeah, I'm not really trusting anyone except unless it's Latavius Murray. I think he's been a solid running back so far, and for the Denver Broncos. As far as the receivers, yeah, I mean, both Kendall Hill and Cortland Sutton have been very mid options. I mean, tied to Russell Wilson, who's been mid all season. So I think they're both in kind of wide receiver 3 category. Greg Dulcich, though, tight end 1. And then on the Panthers side, it's just DJ Moore. Actually, Dante Foreman, I could play him. I could play Dante Foreman. But yeah, it's real tough for Carolina side. I mean, I think the one I'm trusting most is Deontay Foreman as a low end RB2.
Yeah, I could see that. The narrative, not the narrative, but the fact that, they're home, they're favored. This game script kind of fits perfectly into Deontay Foreman's, what he
Yeah,
brings to the table.
25
So,
carries, maybe.
and Denver's rush defense has been susceptible. So, yeah, Deontay Foreman's definitely in play now. The more I think about it. All right, let's move on to this next game here. We've got the 4-6 Atlanta Falcons traveling to Washington to take on the 6-5 Washington Commanders. This game has a 41.5 point total, where the Washington Commanders are 4.5 point home favorites. In terms of the weather, there is expected to be rain in this game. In terms of injuries, on the Atlanta side, remember Kyle Pitts is on injured reserve, so he is not available. Defensive tackle Jalen Dalton, running back Caleb Huntley, and then tight end Felipe Franks, they're all questionable. Actually, Jalen Dalton, the defensive tackle, is doubtful, rather. For Washington, Logan Thomas, he's questionable, the tight end, with a rib injury. Chase Young, the defensive end, who's expected to make his return, is questionable with the knee. Benjamin St. Juste and Dax Milne, they are both out of this game. And then linebacker Cole Holcomb was placed on injured reserve with a foot injury. Greg, where are you going with this matchup here?
With this matchup, I'm taking the over. I'm gonna take Washington to cover and Washington to win. Especially if Chase Young makes his debut, I think he'll have an instant impact immediately. So hopefully he can make that play. On the Washington side, though, Taylor Heineke's matchup is great on paper, but he's still in that super flex QB2 territory. As far as the other pieces, I do like Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. Antonio Gibson obviously is the lead here. Kind of, I think the preferred running back still, low in RB2. Brian Robinson more in that RB3 category. But the receivers though have an excellent matchup here. Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. I think those especially Terry McLaurin. He's got to get in the smash spot here. I think he should have a great game. Curtis Samuel, same as he is every week. Wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. That floor, you're just expecting him to hopefully, not, give you 0 points. Tight end Logan Thomas, I think he's coming back into a playable category. I think could be someone that could be streamed. And then on the Atlanta side, we're going with, pretty much. I mean, Cordell Patterson has been pretty, poor since he's come back from injury. Uh, it's real tough. It's real tough. I think you're forced to throw out Cordell Patterson. I mean, it's a lot because he's a running back. It's very slim there, but other than that, I really can't trust anyone.
Yeah, I am going to take the over. I'm going to take Washington to cover. I'm going to take Washington to win. On the Atlanta side, maybe Cordell Patterson is your best bet, but like you said, he's been bad in
he's
2 of 3 games, and then even the one game that he was good in, he scored 2 touchdowns. Right, so we talk about that floor ceiling thing. And he hit 16 and a half PPR points or something like that. You take those 2 touchdowns away, he really had 4 points. So, it's really tough there. But like you said, if you're desperate, he plays running back. I mean, there's no teams on bye this week, so maybe like I'd rather play Brian Robinson in this same game over Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
For Washington, Scary Terry is a wide receiver 2, AG is a running back 2, Brian Robinson's an RB3, and then Curtis Samuel is a wide receiver 3. And yeah, Taylor Heineke is streamable for sure. Atlanta's been beatable.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could stream him out there. All right, let's move on to this next matchup. We've got the 5-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Cleveland to take on the 3-7 Cleveland Browns, where this game has a 43.5 point total, and the Cleveland Browns are 1.5 point home underdogs. This game is probably the worst of the games weather-wise. There is going to be rain in this game. There's expected to be wind, anywhere from 20 to 30 mile per hour gust, which is not great. So, rainy, windy, definitely not great. Yeah, I don't want to talk about Deshaun right now, but it just reminds me, like, why did you go to Cleveland? Oh, $230 million is probably why I went to Cleveland.
Yeah.
But just remember, like, all the Cleveland games 2 years ago where
Baker's performance was based off the weather, pretty much. That's how bad it was, honestly.
Yeah. So Jacoby Brissett, Tom Brady, both veteran quarterbacks should be able to navigate this. But for Cleveland, in terms of the injuries, Greg Newsome, the cornerback, he's out with a concussion. For Tampa Bay, the big news that came out of the weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, was Leonard Fournette, the running back, is doubtful with the hip injury that he suffered in the previous game in Week 10 against Seattle and London. So there's an expectation here that he's going to miss this game, which means Rachaad White will step in as the starter. And then in terms of 2 players being out for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, offensive guard Luke Gadecki and wide receiver Russell Gage are both out of this game. I will take the under here. I will take Tampa Bay to cover. I will take Tampa Bay to win. For Cleveland, Jacoby Brissett, again, he was in QB1 territory coming into this game for me, but the weather does scare me a little bit. Rainy and windy, not ideal. Both wide receivers for Cleveland, Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, they are wide receiver 1 options, but again, both have some risk with the wind, especially the wind is going to have an impact on those wide receivers that have, higher average depth of targets, those guys that like to go down the field. So, be mindful of that. David Njoku is healthier this week, expecting him to return into top tier tight end form. Nick Chubb, he's an RB2 on the lower side with a matchup versus Tampa Bay, who ranks 27th against PPR points allowed to the running back position over their last 3 games. And then Kareem Hunt, he's probably in play as a running back 3. maybe he sees more usage in the short to intermediate passing game with Tampa Bay being so strong as a run defense, but obviously the wind, which would yield to shorter average depth of target. So maybe Kareem Hunt has some value that way. On the Tampa Bay side, Rashad White is about to have his day, and RB1 day is loading for my guy in a fantastic matchup, which we will talk about
Mhm.
later. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, they're wide receiver twos with wide receiver one upside. Tom Brady's a QB2. Julio Jones has some deep flex intrigue here with Russell Gage out. He was definitely more productive in their last game against Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna take the under as well. Tampa to cover, Tampa to win. Agree with you pretty much on a lot of this. Cleveland on their side, definitely the weather's going to affect everyone. So I think expect everyone to have kind of a slight bump down from their usual kind of rankings. But Jacoby Brissett uh, is he will always in that stream category. But just be mindful of the weather. Definitely like the running backs here. If it's going to be a tough nose weather matchup, so Nick Chubb should be kind of borderline RB1. Um, especially with the tough matchup. The receivers, Mark Cooper and Dom Jones. Mark Cooper, I think, is still the safer option. So I still have him, low in wide receiver 2 category. Dom Jones, kind of in that same area. Wide receiver 3, David Njoku though should still have a great day here and a great matchup. And he's when he's in and healthy, he's been money for this team. And on Tampa, I agree with you. With Rashad White being in, if Leonard Fournette can't go, this is the guy we've been saying every week to go pick him up. This is why for these situations, so you can just plug and play, start him kind of like the Tony Pollard thing, early in the year when he was with Zeke last couple of years. The receivers, Godwin, Evans, you're playing them wide receiver twos, and I do like Julio. It seemed like Tom Brady wants to give him the ball, wants to give him touchdowns, so has a keen to throwing it to him. I think he'll have some value, especially down the season.
Yeah, definitely. Things I think are interesting. Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones have basically the same exact average depth of target. They have basically the same exact yards per reception. This is over their last 3 games.
Hmm.
Same exact yards per reception, and pretty much the same catch rate. So they're pretty much playing the same role. That's something I thought was interesting, and I thought I'd share. Anyway, let's move on to this next matchup. The 6-4 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Tennessee to take on the 7-3 Tennessee Titans. This game has a 42.5-point total, where the Cincinnati Bengals are 1.5-point favorites. This game is a rematch of the divisional round matchup last year, where the Cincinnati Bengals went to Tennessee, where the Tennessee Titans were the 1 seed and sent them home early.
Hmm.
So this will be interesting. And this game also has significant playoff implications in the AFC. We're getting around that time where these games tend to matter a little bit more. So, these, especially in these tight conferences, I think, week 18 is going to actually really mean something. I don't think you're going to have anybody sitting anything out unless, some teams, really fumble the bag here the rest of the way. But in terms of the injuries here, well, the weather's okay in this game, but in terms of the injuries, Joe Mixon, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's out with a concussion that he suffered in the previous game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jamar Chase is questionable, game time decision for this game, so something to keep in mind. Dax Hill for Cincinnati, he's questionable. And then for Tennessee, Randy Bullock, he's questionable with a calf. And then Randy Bullock is a kicker, by the way. And then Danico Autry is out with a knee injury. So, Greg, where are you going with this matchup here?
I think I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Cincy to cover, Cincy to win. This is another smash rod matchup for Joe Burrow and this offense. Joe Burrow should have another great day. Start of the week potential for him, for Joe Burrow and his team. No Joe Mixon, so I think Samaje P Ryan is a good slide in option. I think he should lead this team in carries and reception as far as the running backs. So I think is a plug and play RB2 option right away. I think that's a good expectation for him. As far as the receivers, if Jamar Chase is able to go, you're playing him. But without him, all the receivers have great matchups in this one as well, along with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins in the smash spot. Tyler Boyd should be in a good spot as well. Obviously, he gets bumped down if Jamar Chase is playing to more of a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. If Chase is out, I think Boyd is more of a wide receiver 3 with some wide receiver 2 upside. Hayden Hurst has been pretty so lately. I think he's just in the streamable tight end category. And then on the Tennessee side, Derrick Henry, you're playing him no matter what. Doesn't matter the matchup. I'm definitely interested to see how if Tannehill can get going with these receivers. So I think I'm willing to still play Traylon Burks, and as a deeper league flex, and Robert Woods. They're both in that same category. I think I would have a better measurement who's going to kind of take this lead dog in this offense. But they're both in that lower end flex category.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take Tennessee to cover. I'm going to take Tennessee to win. For Cincinnati, definitely agree. Joe Burrow, he's a QB1. Jamar Chase, I think I'm probably going to put him in wide receiver 2 territory in his first game back. I think you kind of have to play him if he plays. He could be potentially limited, but his upside on, just based on touchdown equity is just too important. T. Higgins, he's a wide receiver 1. I think just double check this really quick, but I think I'm willing to go out there with Hayden Hurst. The tight end, the matchup from a tight end standpoint for Tennessee. They're 13th in fantasy points allowed, PPR points allowed their last three games. So, it's decent. Maybe Chase, maybe take some targets away from Hayden Hurst, but. If you are hurting for tight end, definitely could have worse options than Hayden Hurst. I think Samaje Perine, he's obviously going to get the start this week. He's an RB1 option. I think despite the tough matchup, he should see enough volume and enough work in the pass game to, I think, come through and have a fantasy-friendly day. And then on the Tennessee side, Derrick Henry, he's an RB1 for sure. Ryan Tannehill, he's a QB2. Like you said, I'm curious to see if he can continue to elevate his his passing prowess and elevate these pass catchers like a Traylon Burks, like a Robert Woods. I'm just saying, man, they drafted Traylon Burks to replace AJ Brown. You remember, Greg? I know you
You're right.
remember, but
Yeah.
there was that stretch of AJ Brown's rookie year where he was basically useless to us from a fantasy
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. Then he became a league winner.
He was a league winner down the stretch. I don't know, man. I'm itching. I'm getting that itch, So, maybe Traylon Burks. I mean, in this game. I mean, he's probably he's a better DFS play, I think, than he is like a redraft play right now because his upside is tantalizing. The matchup here is decent from a wide receiver standpoint, but just in this game, right? If this game gets a little back and forth and Cincinnati tries to gear up to stop Derrick Henry, Traylon Burks is going to have to make some plays. So definitely agree with you there. And then Robert Woods as well is definitely in play. But if you could play one of these two guys between Burks and Woods, who would it be?
I think to chase that upside. I mean, because they're similarly in the same category. I'm gonna go with Traylon Burks.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, I don't want if I don't want the floor to fall out under me, I'd probably go with Robert Woods. Just steady Eddie veteran. You know what you're gonna get. 5-6 catches.
Yeah.
But if I want that upside, I need a 100-yard game and a touchdown. I'm going with Traylon Burks.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to this next matchup, which should have maybe a couple 100-yard games and some touchdowns. The 1-8-1 Kyle Allen led Houston Texans traveled to Miami to take on the 7-3 Miami Dolphins, where this game has a 45.5-point total, and the Miami Dolphins are 12.5-point home favorites. The weather's okay in this game. In terms of injuries, cornerback for Houston, Derek Stingley, came into the week questionable, has been ruled out of this game. So that's a blow for the Houston secondary. And then for Miami, running back Raheem Mostert is doubtful with a knee injury. So wheels up on Jeff Wilson, I guess. In terms of the game here, I am going to take the under. I'm going to take Miami to cover. I'm going to take Miami to win. On the Houston side, Dameon Pierce, he's an RB1. Again, the volume should be there. He is proving that he's every bit of the 2022 James Robinson from 2020. So, definitely continue to roll him out there. Nico Collins, he's a wide receiver 3. Brandon Cooks maybe a wide receiver 4. I'm curious to see how this plays out with Kyle Allen getting the start for Miami. I mean, let me just backtrack a little bit. This matchup is really good for whoever plays quarterback. Now, again, not in love with the idea of going to a Kyle Allen, but I think you can get away with playing like a Nico Collins or maybe even a Brandon Cooks because the matchup is so good. But for Miami, Tua Tagovailoa is a QB1. Tyreek Hill is a wide receiver 1 with earth-shattering upside. Jalen Waddle is a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. Mike Gesicki, he's my stream of the week, has a nice matchup. Houston Texans allow the 5th most PPR points to the tight end position over their last 3 games. And then again, Raheem Mostert is doubtful, while Jeff Wilson was an RB1 coming into this matchup, or he's a higher end RB1 in this matchup. The Houston Texans over their last 3 games allow the 12th most PPR points to the running back position. And that was last week. They were actually first. So had a little bit of a down week here as the Washington Commanders didn't score a ton of points on the ground here. So I think Jeff Wilson is in for a huge day.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm gonna take the over actually, but I'm gonna take Houston to cover, but Miami to win. On the Houston side, Dameon Pierce is a lock for RB1 every week. Definitely been a great running back option, rookie option all year. I agree with you with the receivers. Pretty much they're both Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins are in that wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3 category. But yeah, with the new quarterback, you're not really opens a lot of doors to see who's going to get more targets in this one. So definitely intriguing to see what that is. And on Miami side, 2 is a QB1. Lock Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, both wide receiver 1s. And then Jeff Wilson Jr. Yeah, man, he's in the smash spot here. He should dominate in this matchup. Houston definitely been a struggling rush defense all season. Jeff Wilson Jr. Getting a lot of touches since he's been in Miami. 31 touches. Been getting 2 touchdowns. So he's been used a lot. I like him here.
How crazy has Jeff Wilson's season been?
Oh
right,
man,
like
his career has been crazy, but yes, this season specifically.
This season has been absolutely absurd. He went from the dude on the waiver wire that maybe you picked up because he's behind Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell gets hurt week 1. We talked about the whole Trey Lance thing.
It's like a
then,
chart. Foul.
Yeah.
And then foul.
Jimmy G
down.
comes in, and then this offense is regular, and Jeff Wilson's killing. And then CMC comes in, and it's like, oh, well, I guess we got to drop Jeff Wilson. Then he gets traded, and then he's like, oh, he's an RB1 again.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. All right, let's move on to this next game. Actually going to switch this really quick because we had some updates on this game, and I'm sorry to do this to you live, Greg, but I just thought that some of these quarterback changes were a little bit too important not to capture this new line we have here, where the 3-7 Chicago Bears are traveling to MetLife to take on the 6-4 New York Jets. This game has a 38.5 point total, where the New York Jets are 6-point favorites in this one. First time they've been favored all year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There is going to be rain in this game. For Chicago, linebacker Sterling Weatherford, cornerback Kyler Gordon, and safety Jaquan Brisker, they're all out of this game. Justin Fields, who's dealing with the separated shoulder in his non-throwing shoulder, is questionable, expected to be a game time decision after being limited in practice all week. And then for the New York Jets, Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, he's questionable with the shoulder. He's expected to play. Kenny Aboa is out of this game with a calf. Sheldon Rankins is out with an elbow, the defensive tackle. And then offensive tackle George Fant was designated to return from the injured reserve. Has not been activated yet, but he's eligible to be activated, as is offensive tackle Mitchell or Max Mitchell. So both those guys, could provide reinforcements to the Jets offensive line. In terms of this matchup, Greg, where are you going, bro?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Jets to cover and the Jets to win. I'm gonna trust Vegas. Vegas knows the line's moving for a reason. That's because they probably think Justin Fields isn't going to be able to go. So I'm lean towards that theory and that Justin Fields is not going to go. But on the Bear side, if he is, obviously you're playing him. If not, Trevor Siemian will be the quarterback. That definitely changes things for the offense as a whole was kind of rolling. So definitely probably gives a bump down to Darnell Mooney, who was kind of having a groove a little bit. Maybe Cole Kmet. But Kokomo, I think, is still in that borderline tight end one territory. Darnell Mooney probably more wide receiver 4 in this matchup. Looking at the running backs though, for sure, David Montgomery should be in a strong RB2 category. So keep playing him as such, without Khalil Herbert. And then on the Jet side, Mike White, quarterback stream of the week. I think he's coming in here, has a solid matchup, great matchup on the outside as well. So he should hopefully give you a solid day here. Running backs, Michael Carter and James Robinson, they both have great matchups as well. I think they're both in an RB2 category. One of them should score a touchdown and kind of get maybe possibly some RB1 upside. As far as the receivers, Garrett Wilson, he's in the RB so high in not high in RB2. I mean wide receiver 2 category for me, and then Tyler Conklin, borderline tight end 1 as well.
I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take the Jets to cover, Jets to win. Justin Fields is tough. He's been practicing all week in limited fashion. Who knows, man? Maybe the 6 points was more about Mike White than it was about Justin Fields.
Ooh, imagine Mike White. That'd be lit. Mike White.
But if Fields does go, he is on the lower end. If he does, because he might be limited on the ground. I don't think obviously Tom Brady could play with an injury to his non-throwing shoulder, because he's not gonna run a lot. But Justin Fields, he takes a lot of contact. He ran the ball 18 times last week. That doesn't even include the plays that he's in the pocket taking sacks. And he will be limited on the ground, and the matchup is tough. So even if he plays, I'm probably going to stay away from him. Down on the Chicago offense as a whole, David Montgomery, he might be able to to be in play because of the volume, but he might have a tough day, especially if Trevor Siemian's the starter there. This Jets defense is really aggressive, coverage on the outside. So expecting it to be a tough day if Trevor Siemian plays. For the New York Jets, Garrett Wilson, he's a wide receiver too. He does get a quarterback upgrade potentially, but Corey Davis is coming back, so that could cap some of his upside in terms of the target share that he was seeing week to week. He was far and away this team's number one receiver. But again, with Corey Davis coming back, that could change some of this a little bit. Michael Carter, he's an RB2, should see more targets in the pass game. Mike White, I don't know if you remember, Greg, but the first Mike White game was in Cincinnati. Or against Cincinnati, Michael Carter had like 8 targets that game. So Michael Carter is in play as an RB2, and James Robinson, I think, is in play as an RB3. Greg, do you know about the coin?
The coin flip for the Jets. Is he
Yeah,
still a perfect? That
it's
guy?
still perfect. It's
Wow,
still
man.
perfect,
Wow.
and it says that the Jets lose this game.
Then that means the Jets are gonna lose. He's still perfect to this point. Ah, man. I don't. That's
So
tough.
for the
In his
listeners that
first
may not
favorite.
know, there was a fan who flipped a coin before the season started to predict the Jets' record for the season, and right
Still
now
perfect, man. That's
the
impressive.
the Jets are 6-4, and the coin is 10-0.
Man.
So
Oh,
it says that they are going to lose this game, but it ultimately says that they will end up in the AFC Championship game, which also ends with a loss. So
they must
um,
go on some streak at some point because they were 6-2 before that, and then he had the 2 L's, 3 L's in a row. So this is the turning point. Maybe Mike White warms it up and then goes
no, it
off,
wasn't
man.
two. It wasn't 3 L's. They lost to New England, then they beat
Mhm.
Buffalo, then they lost to New England. So they
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah, yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, so he has them going on a 5-game winning streak to like close
yeah.
out the
That's what I'm
season or
thinking.
something
Yeah,
like that.
he
Yeah.
probably didn't flip that coin for the Pats games though. Wow.
No, he flipped it for the Pats games, and
He
it
probably just
predicted
do.
losses. I hate you.
He just do. He's just like,
I
oh,
hate you.
oh.
I hate you. I hate you. What is it, 14 straight now? I hate you.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
It's tough.
I don't hate Greg, actually. You guys all know I love Greg. Greg knows I love Greg. So hate is bad. It's terrible. Don't
It's
hate.
like,
Anyway, let's move on to the 4:05 game. The 3-7 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Seattle to take on the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks. This game has a Seattle Seahawks can't be 6-3. They got to be 6-4.
mm,
They're
Seattle.
6-4.
Yeah, yeah.
This game has a 47.5-point total, where the Seattle Seahawks are 3.5-point home favorites here. There is expected to be rain in this game for Las Vegas. Cornerback Nate Hobbs, he's on injury. He's designated to return from the injured reserve. Wide receiver D. Eskridge is out of this game. In terms of the totals, or in terms of the game here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Seattle to cover. I will take Seattle to win. In terms of the fantasy matchups, Las Vegas, Josh Jacobs is an RB1. Devontae Adams is a wide receiver 1. Foster Moreau gets some matchup here against Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
who has been better in recent weeks. They're 15th in PPR points allowed to the tight end position. So he's in play as a higher end tight end too. He's been not very good in his opportunities, but in this matchup, I'm willing to give him a shot if need be. For Seattle, Geno Smith is a quarterback 1. Kenneth Walker is an RB1 in a great matchup. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, they're wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 upside. And then Noah Fant is a tight end 1 on the lower side.
Yeah, I'm also take the over. Take Seattle to cover. Seattle to win. On the Vegas side, the it's pretty a simple formula for these guys as well. Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams being ones at their position, been great all year. As far as the receivers, yeah, Foster Moreau is then streaming territory. You can make an argument for that with the matchup, like you were saying. And Matt Collins is in that deep league flex category, so you can possibly throw him out there as in a desperation. And then on the Seattle side, Geno Smith again, yeah, smash by here. Agree with you. Kenneth Walker, kind of like Travis Etienne, a guy we haven't talked about in a while, but he's been excellent all year since he's coming through when he taking the start. RB1 option. Love the receivers, both DK and Tyler Lockett, as I love Geno Smith. So they both are strong wide receiver 2s. I think one of them gonna get into that wide receiver 1 category though for sure. And then Noah Fant is also in that. I think I would trust Noah Fant more than Foster Moreau in this matchup.
Yeah, Noah Fant just really irks me with that drop touchdown in London,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Or not the drop touchdown. Just get your foot down, bro. Like
yeah,
you're a
yeah,
pro. I
yeah.
seen Greg do that, right? Get 2 feet in. Like, come on, guy. All All right, let's move on to this next matchup. The 5-5 Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Arizona to take on the 4-6 Arizona Cardinals. This game has a 48-point total, where the Arizona Cardinals are 4-point underdogs. This game kicks off at 4:25 p.m. In terms of the weather, we're okay. In terms of injuries, Arizona, man, they just can't get all their receivers healthy at the same time. Wide receiver, Rondell Moore, he is out with a groin injury. Greg Dortch, DNP all week, questionable with a thumb. I think the expectation is that he will also miss this game.
Tough.
Marquise Brown, expected to return off the injury reserve, expected to be activated, and according to Coach Cliff Kingsbury, he expects Marquise Brown to play. Kyler Murray has been a full participant in practice this week. He's expected to return to the lineup here. For the Chargers, wide receiver Mike Williams, he's out with an ankle. Safety Nasir Adderley, he is doubtful. In terms of the game here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Arizona to cover 4 points, but I will take the Chargers to win this game because this is exactly how this game should.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
That's exactly how this game should go. Probably one of my bigger start-sit decisions comes from this game, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But for Arizona, quarterback or Kyler Murray, he's a QB1. DeAndre Hopkins, a lower-end wide receiver 1. James Conner, RB2. Trey McBride, he's in a great spot here as well. He's in a good matchup. The Chargers allow the third most PPR points to the tight end position in their last 3 games. Granted, that does include a matchup against Travis Kelce, where he scored 3 touchdowns. But he does get Kyler Murray back, so that's a boost as well. There's no Rondell Moore, potentially no Greg Dortch, so that maybe even means more targets in the middle of the field for Trey McBride. Marquise Brown, he's making his way back, so he could see snaps and opportunities, that should be available. And then on the Chargers side, Justin Herbert is a QB1. Austin Eckler is an RB1. Keenan Allen back in play as a wide receiver 1. Josh Palmer probably going to be a wide receiver 2 for me in this one. Gerald Everett, he's in a great matchup as well. Tight end 1 option. He's coming off the groin injury, so that's definitely tough. But the matchup is fantastic, going up against Arizona that allows the most PPR points to the tight end position over their last 3 games. And the tough start-sit decision I was alluding to before was Gerald Everett versus Trey McBride. So, Greg, I'll ask you, but if you could also answer that question for me, that'd be ideal.
Yeah, I agree. Take that over. Take the Cardinals to cover, but I'm gonna take the Chargers to win. On the Arizona side, Kyler Murray, you're playing him if he's out there, he's getting healthier. QB1. James Conner, I think, is almost a borderline RB1. The matchup is great. We like to attack the Chargers' rush defense. So playing him out there with confidence. Receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, your first option as a borderline wide receiver 1. Marquise Brown should be working his way back. So I think, a little more wide receiver 3 territory. But with they're banged up, they got to have one more piece maybe that could possibly be an option. I mean, Trey McBride. So I think that should help them out a little bit. Maybe they use a little Robbie Anderson in this one. So hopefully we'll see about that. But yeah, I do like Trey McBride a little more as he gets work in the middle of the field. On the Chargers side, Herbert, QB1 option, borderline QB1 option. Eckler has been just absolutely amazing all year. He's just been that guy. I mean, we talked about Saquon being that number 1 option in redraft. If you draft today, I think Eckler's right there with him. If you were to draft again today. And then as far as the receivers, Keenan Allen being back to that high-end wide receiver 2 territory. And then, if Mike Williams can't go, then, Josh Palmer gets an extra bump. But I think Gerald Everett's been very underwhelming. Like, he's had great matchups, just hasn't really come through. So I think I'm leaning towards Trey McBride in this one.
It's honestly one of the toughest decisions I think I've had to make all year.
Another great matchup for him, but like yeah, he just definitely hasn't found and hasn't boomed as a good day for what you expect from this offense. Injuries to the receivers, he's had plenty of opportunity.
He's had plenty of opportunities. I mean, that's kind of Gerald Everett's career, right? We've always
Yeah,
looked to him when he was in Seattle, when he was with the Rams. We're like, oh, he's gonna have a day. He's gonna break out. And it just
yeah,
kind of never happens.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see because I actually made my decision, which is captured in the starts of the week. So we'll see. Guess you'll have to stick around for that. Let's move on to or just one other note on that game before we move off of it. We did see D Hop his first game back had some opportunities in the slot, so maybe there is an opportunity here where they do move him into the slot, without a Rondell Moore, and maybe that leans, like you were saying, Robbie Anderson gets some more opportunities on the outside. Maybe AJ Green gets some opportunities on the outside. Not you're going to play either one of those guys in fantasy, but because Robbie Anderson's been terrible since he's gone to Arizona.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think he has. I don't think he has a catch,
I think
or
it's
he
Steve
does
Steele. Yeah, where
like -4 receiving, like -4 yards per reception, or something stupid like that. Um,
brutal.
all right, let's move on to the next matchup. The 3-6 Los Angeles Rams traveling to Kansas City to take on the 8-2 Kansas City Chiefs. This game has a 44.5 total, where the Kansas City Chiefs are 14.5 point favorites. Um, I think the Rams are 3-7, but either way, in terms of the weather, we're okay. In terms of injuries, Greg, would you believe it? Kadarius Toney is out of this game with a hamstring injury.
Man, it wasn't a fluke, man. We thought that he was faking that injury in New York, but now, but now we know he was really dealing with something.
uh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's on injury reserve with an ankle. And then for the Rams, Traven Howard, he's out. Brian Allen, the center, he's also out. Tyler Higbee, the tight end, he's questionable with a knee. And then Allen Robinson is questionable with an ankle. Greg, where do you lean when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs in this Rams matchup?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Chiefs to cover and the Chiefs to win. On the Chiefs side, Patty, he should can dominate in this game. I think they lean on the run game a little more here too, because they're going to be up. They should be controlling possession. So Isaiah Pacheco, I think is RB3, but he's got I think RB2 for me in this week. I think he has a probably the best day of his season so far. In this week, you see in the usage. Jerry McKinnon, also like a low end flex option, deeply flex option if you're desperate. But the running game I think should get a little bump in this one. But as far as the receivers, Juju's in a great spot here. Great matchup. Have him as a strong wide receiver too. Um, as far as that, I mean, no Kadarius Toney, so you would think besides Travis Kelsey, he's the main pass catcher in this team. But Juju should have a good game. I think we're leaning on the run. I think MBS is probably not an option. I think I'm just gonna trust Juju and Travis Kelsey. And then on the Ram side, it's tough, really, but maybe Tyler Higbee, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take Kansas City to cover. I'm going to take Kansas City to win. For Kansas City, Mahomes is a QB1. Travis Kelsey is a tight end 1. Juju Smith-Schuster, a wide receiver 1. Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, they're both RB3 options for me. Pacheco probably, like you said, could see more, a positive game script in this one. Could see more carries. So, could slide into an RB2 day. For Kansas City, or sorry, for the Rams, rather, Tyler Higbee, definitely a tight end 1, or not definitely a tight end 1. That's like nothing is definite in this Rams
Yeah,
offense. But Tyler,
not with Bryce Perkins at quarterback.
but Tyler Higbee, he's in play as a tight end 1. Allen Robinson may be in play as a wide receiver 4 flex option. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say these words. Bryce Perkins is a QB2.
Okay, you have a great
Just because
matchup.
the matchup is great, his legs are great. I'm sure they look great, but they do great things for fantasy. And he's a 14.5 point dog, which in theory isn't fantastic. That's going to come with poor play. maybe some interceptions, maybe a fumble here or there. But if he ran for 24 yards, I think, in his previous game, and he like literally didn't start the game. He just came in and started playing, and it's like, all right, guess I'll run the football. Um, so if he triples that in this game, I think that's good enough to bring forth a QB2 day. I'm not saying that if you're a one quarterback league, you pick up Bryce Perkins and you start him. But if you're in Superflex and you're hurting right now for a quarterback, I would not be opposed to going after Bryce Perkins, and that's my point. And that's all I'm going to say about this matchup.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, any Russian quarterbacks just is a cheat code, and they can make bad matchups, bad situations. They defy all odds. So yeah.
Yeah, unless their name is Kendall Hinton and they don't actually play
Oh
quarterback.
yeah, word.
Let's move on to let's move on to. Sorry, I had to look at that the other day because I was looking up Kendall Hinton and I was like, "Yo,
That game was
what did
crazy.
1 of 9 for 2 interceptions?"
They're scoring as much points this year though as well. So like Kendall Hilton, looking back at it, it wasn't too bad for Denver.
Quarterback controversy in Denver right now: Kendall Hinton versus Russell Wilson. All right, let's move on to this next. Denver Broncos fans must hate us. I'm sorry, Denver Broncos fans. But
Nah, I hope they hate their team first more. Like,
yeah, hate the team
it's really
first.
bad. Yeah, yo.
Hey, just know we came into the season rooting for Russ, right? We wanted to see
for
Russ.
sure, man.
Like, that's probably why I'm really mad, because there's just a lot of money that I wasted betting on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, no, you put your money where your mouth is too. Like the MVP, he could have been MVP favorite. I thought leading touchdowns favorites. Like this man was set up for greatness, man, for greatness.
Fraudulent, straight up fraudulent. All right, let's move on, man. Even when we're not talking about Russ, we're talking about Russ. That's like, how do we even end up talking about? We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs
because you talk about a Denver quarterback. So
yeah. All right, let's talk about the 4-7 New Orleans Saints traveling to San Francisco rather to take on the 6-4 San Francisco 49ers, where this game has a 43.5 point total, and the Niners are 9.5 point home favorites in this one. In terms of injuries for New Orleans, linebacker Pete Werner, defensive end Peyton Turner, and safety JT Gray are all out of this game. And then for San Francisco, wide receiver Deebo Samuel is questionable with a hamstring. In terms of the matchups here, Greg, where are you? Oh, I guess this is me. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take San Fran to cover. I will take San Fran to win. 9.5 is a lot. I feel like San Fran's been getting some lines that they shouldn't be getting, but they covered last week. So New Orleans. Oh, Alvin Kamara, by the way. Sorry, this is big news. Alvin Kamara was a DMP on Friday with an illness. So that's something to monitor. Seems like Mark Ingram is making his way back from injury. So if you are the Alvin Kamara manager, might want to scoop up, Mark Ingram. If you're not the manager, you might want to scoop up Mark Ingram. But in terms of the matchups here for New Orleans, Chris Olave, he's a wide receiver 1. Alvin Kamara, obviously, if he goes, I'm going to have him down as a borderline RB1. For San Francisco, CMC, he's an RB1. Jimmy G, a high-end QB2. Brandon Ayuk, a wide receiver 2. Deebo Samuel, probably a wide receiver 3 flex play. And then George Kittle, a tight end 1, while I'll have Elijah Mitchell down as an RB3 flex option.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Saints to cover, but I'm going to take San Fran to win. On the San Fran side, Jimmy G, I think, is in streaming category. I think he can possibly have a solid day, more in that mid-tier, QB 14, 15 range. As far as this, pieces around him, Christian McCaffrey, starting him as a RB1. You definitely want to see one of those days, a good day like he had in his first couple of games. Last couple of games, the usage has been a little up and down. But he's still, trying to finding the end zone. So you're playing him as an RB1. Elijah Mitchell, though, I think is in play a little bit. I think he's more in the RB3 category. If you're in a desperation, you need a running back. He possibly is in play. Debo Samuel's back as a high end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 upside. Brandon Ayuk, more that low end wide receiver 2 category. George Kittle, tight end 1. On the Saints side, pretty much if Alvin can't go, obviously you're pivoting. Not can't replace that production with Mark Ingram, but you're pretty much an instant plug and play kind of like RB3. But if he does go, Alvin Kamara is a borderline RB1. Chris Olave, wide receiver 2 category, and then I think if you are in a pinch and need a receiver, Jarvis Landry is an option, and Juwan Johnson every week streaming tight end.
Do you know what's absolutely crazy? Is Juwan Johnson your stream of the week?
Yes, he was.
I had a dream that he scored 2 touchdowns last night.
I
don't know why Juwan Johnson was in my dream, but now that you said, I was like, yo, I had a dream that he scored 2 touchdowns last night. So yeah,
I'm here
he's
for
definitely
that.
he's definitely in play as a tight.
We're on that next level of fantasy analysis now. Yeah. Super Saiyan type. Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. Yo, so wait, you just said you're Debo over Ayuk.
Yes.
I'm Ayuk over Debo.
Yes.
I feel like we should get a bet.
Yeah,
because sure. Ayuk's been outproducing Debo these last few weeks.
Pretty much every week except last week. Yeah, in the last couple of weeks.
Wait, last week didn't Ayuk had 2 touchdowns last week?
Oh, did he? I thought Debo had a day too.
Debo might have had a day. Oh yeah, did Debo score a touchdown, like a rushing touchdown or something like that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe so.
I know Ayuk. All he had was like those 2 touchdowns, though. He had like
the yardage was low.
It was like 14 receiving yards, but he had 2 touchdown receptions. All right, let's move on to the next matchup. This is Sunday Night Football. The 4-7 Green Bay Packers travel to Philadelphia to take on the 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles. This game has a 44.5 point total, where the Philadelphia Eagles are 6.5 point home favorites. In terms of whether we're okay in this one, in terms of injuries, Romeo Doubs, he's out with that ankle injury. Devondre Campbell, he's doubtful with the knee. And then Philadelphia, they're okay for the most part. In terms of the matchup here, Greg, where are you leaning?
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take Philly to cover, Philly to win. Philly is just the better team. Green Bay is just going to continue to struggle, especially with the weak offensive line. But on the Philly side, Jalen Hurts, QB1, lock it in. Miles Sanders, RB2, steady RB2. Receivers, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. AJ Brown, obviously with the higher upside, I think borderline wide receiver 1. Devontae Smith, strong wide receiver 2. And then on the Philly side, on the Green Bay side, Aaron Jones, I think is a RB1. He's been playing solid all year, playing, giving you the correct value at his ADP all season. And then other than that, Christian Watson, man, just continue to roll him out there, continue to trust that until the wheels fall off, man. That's all I want.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under here. I'm gonna take Philly to cover. I'm gonna take Philly to win. For Green Bay, Aaron Jones, borderline RB1. Aaron Rodgers is a lower tier QB2 for me. I'm probably gonna stay away from him in this game in most formats. Watson, Christian Watson, he's been great the last couple of weeks. Again, this is a tough matchup for him, but will be a wide receiver 3 flex play for me this week. I mean, his touchdown equity these last couple of weeks has been really fantastic. So you roll him out there, hoping that happens. Alan Lazard, he's going to be a wide receiver 3 for me this week as well. And on the Philly side, Jalen Hurts, he's a QB1. I mean, he's got to be like, Josh Allen's been great. Obviously, he had a stinker last week, but I think Jalen Hurts has been probably the most consistent fantasy quarterback that you want, like week to week. Yeah, Pat Mahomes has been good as well. Yeah, he's been really good. That's a great point. He's been really solid. Yeah, just interesting thing that I thought.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, they're both wide receiver ones for me. And then Miles Sanders is an RB2, RB3 option this week. He's been disappointing in recent weeks, but the matchup here is pretty good. We do have a question. Ben Benguin 2 says, you think I should start Connor or Rashad White if Lenny's out this week?
Gotta go with Rashad White, I think.
Yeah, I'm going Rashad White as well. If you stick around for a little bit, I might be able to convince you here.
Okay.
I think they call that a tease in the in the showbiz industry. But let's move on to this next matchup here. Monday Night Football. Don't know why, but we're subjected to it. The 3-7 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Indianapolis to take on the 4-6-1 Indianapolis Colts. This game has a 39.5 point under. Or 39 and a half. I said 39.5 point
You already
under.
know. Slide that in. Another vision. Yes.
This game has a 39.5 point total, where the Indianapolis Colts are 2.5 point home favorites in this one. This game is in the dome, so there's no weather concerns. For Indianapolis, there are a few guys questionable on both sides of the ball, but nothing major or glaring. For Pittsburgh, running back Jalen Warren, he's a DNP with a hamstring. They do have a few other guys questionable on the Pittsburgh side, but again, that's probably the most pressing one there. In terms of the game here, I will take the under. I will take Indianapolis to cover and Indianapolis to win. For the Indy side, Jonathan Taylor is an RB1. Michael Pittman Jr., a wide receiver 2. Paris Campbell potentially in play as a wide receiver 3 flex option. Pittsburgh historically has been susceptible to the slot wide receiver, and Paris Campbell operates that area of the field, so he's definitely in play. For Pittsburgh, Najee Harris is in play as an RB1. George Pickens is a wide receiver 3. I would play Pickens over Deontay Johnson. He's outproduced him, in most weeks, so I would go there. And then for Pat Freiermuth, he is a tight end 1, has seen tremendous usage since the departure of Chase Claypool. So definitely expect that to continue down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Indy to cover, Indy to win. On the Indianapolis side, JT been back last couple weeks, so he's back to that high in RB1 level. Michael Pittman Jr. I think he's in a great matchup here, so I think he should be kind of. I think wide receiver, strong wide receiver 2. I think with some wide receiver 1 upside, Paris Campbell as well. I think it's a bump here. I think if you are looking for a receiver right now, Paris Campbell I think would be a great option. So to give you a wide receiver 2 day. And then on the Steelers side, Najee Harris, he's a low end RB2. The receivers definitely hard to touch. I mean, main pass catcher I'm looking at is Pat Freiermuth as a high end tight end 1. But yeah, if I'm gonna choose a receiver, they're both in that same. But I'm gonna chase upside and go with Pickens as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Paris Campbell though, I'm with it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, Paris Campbell season. All right, let's move on to starts to the week, man.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
know if Paris Campbell will make it to this section, but there's only one way to
Nah.
find only one way to find out. Greg, your quarterback start of the week, man. Who we got?
Oh, yeah, I mean, back to that Seattle quarterback that has been playing great all year. Geno Smith going against Vegas. I mean, first of all, this matchup is prime right now. Excellent matchup. Geno's been just pretty consistent, especially over the last all season, but the last 4 weeks, very very consistent. 2 touchdowns in last 4 games at least. Over 200 yards. So I think he's gonna have a tee up here as want to have one of those big days where he gets close to that 3 touchdown mark. Gets close over 300 yards. I mean, Geno Smith should cook. Let Geno cook. Yes, sir.
I mean, his day could have definitely. I mean, this matchup would look a lot better if a certain former Seattle quarterback didn't make it look worse on paper last week after their horrible performance.
Right.
My quarterback start of the week is Lamar Jackson going up
Yes.
against Jacksonville. I'm going for a confident start of the week here. I obviously don't come out here trying to pick Lamar Jackson as starts of the week, but he's been disappointing in recent weeks. So I got to go in here for this confident start of the week. Gets a phenomenal matchup against Jacksonville, who's allowed the fourth most fantasy points to the quarterback position over their last 3 games. Mark Andrews is getting healthier, and Demarcus Robinson seemed to be more involved in the pass offense. So he should get a bump in a pass game here for Lamar as he's got some more weapons around him. Obviously, we know what Lamar can do with his legs, but I think we do get a top 5 week from him this week.
Yeah, man. We need one of those highlight days from Lamar. I see it.
Most definitely, Greg. Your running back start of the week, man. I like this one a lot, brother. Why don't you share it with the rest of the people?
Yeah, man, gotta go. Our guy, Jeff Wilson Jr., the nomad of the NFL, nomad of the season. So, coming off a great week last week, almost tying the season high in yards, 100 rushing yards, 119. Got a touchdown on 17 carries. I'm expecting a similar day to against Houston this week. Houston, a great matchup here. But when Jeff Wilson has his days, it's around that 18 to 20 carry mark, and he's over 100 yards and a touchdown. Jeff Wilson Jr. should be set up for a great day. Great game script, everything set up for him to have an excellent day.
Absolutely love that. Jeff Wilson was 100% in consideration for me, but I had to go with this other guy over here, man. The rookie, Rachaad White, going up
Mm-hmm.
against Cleveland. White gets an opportunity, and he got an opportunity in his last game against Seattle. Carried the ball 22 times for 105 yards. He didn't even see a target, which that's the first time that's happened in a game in which he received at least one touch. So I think he gets an opportunity after the bye week, rookie after the bye week, to be a true 3-down back, no Leonard Fournette. And the matchup here is fantastic. Cleveland's allowed the most PPR points to the running back position over their last 3 matchups. Rachaad White, RB one day, loading, start him up.
Oh yeah, man, gotta love it there. Yes, sir. Hopefully,
Greg, you're
hopefully that guy stayed in and heard that answer now.
yeah, Ben Gwynn. We hope that you stayed in. You got that answer. It's got to be Rachaad White for me, especially in PPR leagues.
Yes, sir.
Greg, your wide receiver start of the week. What do you got this week?
Gotta go, our guy, Scary Terry McLaurin, going against Atlanta. Excellent matchup on the outside. I mean, he's definitely in games against Atlanta. Last year, he had a game against Atlanta where he had 6 receptions for 123, 2 touchdowns. I'm looking for that type of performance here against the Atlanta Falcons. I think favorable is going to be the leader in targets for sure. Should go close to 10 targets. Been getting around that 8 or 9 number pretty consistently. And with the matchup on the outside, he should be in a great game, in a high scoring game possibly too as well. So Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, lock him in.
Yeah, man, I love this one. I wish that I had once Carson Wentz suffered his injury. I wish I just sent out a bunch of trade offers for
Yeah,
Terry
we're
McLaurin
for Terry McLaurin.
because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the splits with Carson Wentz versus with Taylor Heineke completely shifts this Washington offense. But
absolutely, man, absolutely.
Terry McLaurin's been rolling, man. Continue to roll him out there. I'm gonna go with Juju Smith-Schuster versus the Rams. I tried to go with Juju a couple weeks ago, but then he got knocked out of the game with a concussion. But he's
He's gonna have a good
practicing.
day.
He's going to have a good day. He's practicing full. He's ready to go. He's got a great matchup here against the Rams. In his previous 3 full games, he scored 22.3, 25.4, and
Woo.
18.8 PPR points. He's ready to roll in a great matchup against the Rams that allow the 3rd most PPR points to the wide receiver position over their last 3 matchups. Go ahead and start Juju up.
Yeah, man, those numbers sound good to me. I mean, Juju, yeah, it should be fit for a great day.
Greg, your tight end start of the week this week. What do you got?
Gotta go with David Njoku, going against Tampa. In a matchup where Tampa's attackable against the tight end position. That's kind of been the way they funnel their offense for the last couple of years now. So I think David Njoku should be in a great spot here. Actually, last year against the Bucks, had 4 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. So I think you're expecting close to that day, definitely a touchdown. Over 50 yards is a good day. David Njoku getting healthier. been a solid option for this Browns offense all season when he's in, close to 6 and 7 targets each game. Being steady Eddie for them. Definitely only 1 touchdown a year, so maybe we could get some touchdown regression going up and get some more touchdowns. So he should have a good day.
Definitely love that one. And Njoku's been, one of my guys since coming into the season, and I'm glad he's coming into his own as a tight end one. Obviously dealt with the injury, but it seems like he's getting healthier. My start sit decision pretty much also came down to my tight end start of the week here. So going with Gerald Everett against Arizona. This one was really tough for me. Again, like I said, I was stuck between two guys, and McBride and Everett. Both have phenomenal matchups. The Chargers allow the third most PPR points to the tight end position over their last 3 games, and the Arizona Cardinals allow the most PPR points to the tight end position over their last 3 games. I think both are great plays, but I'm going with Everett because he has the better matchup. Mike Williams is out, so there should be targets available. But again, I want to stress both these guys I think are great plays because, again, they have phenomenal matchups and there's targets available to both of them to be had in the middle of the field.
Yeah, like that. Jared Everett, man, he's set up, man. He's got to come through, man. This man's been having the tight end gauntlet for great matchups.
Crazy stuff, man.
And you get Arizona, so it's just the pinnacle.
It's
right here.
Arizona. That's really what it comes down to. It's Arizona.
Yeah.
They're gonna find a way. They're gonna find a way to let Gerald Everett in the end zone. All right, we got a few questions here before we get to some get money here. So let's just fire through these real quick. Benguin comes back. Do you think you should still start Kyler over quarterbacks like Brady and Carr, even with the hamstring? Greg, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Brady's playing in the win game against Cleveland. Derek Carr is playing in Seattle in what's another rainy game. Kyler Murray is going up against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. That game is going to be bananas. Like, if it doesn't,
that should be bananas.
game should go wild.
Kyler Murray could be one. There's only like a handful of quarterbacks I want still over him.
Yeah, like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Patrick
Lamar
Mahomes.
Jackson, Tua.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, and that's about it.
And I think that's only because of the hamstring. That's like, if the hamstring was 100% in play, like I might be, Kyler might be a top 3 option for me. But
yeah,
I do understand the concern there, Benguin. There's the risk of re-aggravation and whatnot. But yeah, I'm still going with Kyler. Titan CW says, who should I start in my flex? Devontae Smith, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Hollywood Brown, Cam Akers, and Treylon Burks. Well, I think it's Devontae Smith. Greg, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, Devontae Smith is good, but I wouldn't be scared to play Christian Watson as a start, as a flex, just as he's just hot right now, super hot right now. I mean, man's got 5 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. I'm there to keep riding that wave.
Yeah, the thing with Smith though is that he's got like a 30. I think last week with the first game without Dallas Goedert, both he and AJ Brown saw over like a 35% target share. So, that's probably where I would lean there. But yeah, I think either one of those are great options. George says, "Hey fellas, Cordero Patterson or Christian Watson this weekend? Thanks." I'm going with Christian Watson there.
Lean into that Christian Watson, man. Trust it, yo. He's here. He's here to stay, man. Especially in a game, Packers gonna be down. They are gonna expect to, throw the ball. I think they're gonna rely on him.
There you go. There you have it. Let's get into some get money.
Yes, sir.
Got to get my sound effects here.
Mm-hmm.
So Greg tied it up in what was a fantastic weekend for him.
Once the number 1 pick really won the game. Honestly, if you got Josh Allen, you're gonna win, man. That's really good. It came out to.
Oh, you mean I wasn't expected to know that Mac Jones was going to be the second highest rated quarterback, the second rated quarterback. I wasn't expected to know that, Greg. All right.
Oh man,
Daniel Jones, that guy. So now Greg's tied it up. If you don't know what get money is, it is a head-to-head FanDuel contest between head-to-head DFS contest on FanDuel between Greg and myself. Snake-style draft. Once a player is selected, they are removed from the player pool. Greg gets the first pick in odd weeks. I get the first pick in even weeks. Greg got back-to-back first picks, because we gave him a Thanksgiving pick. But anyway, let's move on to the matchup here. I get the first pick. And with my number one pick here, I'm going to go with my running back start of the week, Rachaad White, against Cleveland. He's 6,400.
Like that, I'm going to take Austin Eckler as my number one pick, RB1. Slide him in there, 8,800.
I really like that, actually, because I thought you were going to take your running back start of the week in Jeff Wilson Jr., who's actually in my lineup. And now I get to take him. So I'm going with Jeff Wilson Jr., 7,700, going up against Miami.
All right, so I'm going to pivot to taking, because I definitely had him in my lineup as well, Dameon Pierce as my RB2, 6,900.
Nice. For my wide receiver one, I'm going my wide receiver start of the week, Juju Smith-Schuster, 6,600.
And I'm going to go with, as my wide receiver one, I'm going to take T. Higgins, 8,200. Slide him in there.
The first snipe of the day, or not the first snipe, my first snipe, getting sniped for the first time.
Riding T. Higgins as long as, to the end, man. Been balling.
Okay, that's cool. For my tight end, I'm going with Mark Andrews, going up against Jacksonville, 7,300.
I'm going to take my wide receiver start of the week, Terry McLaurin, 7,500.
Nice. As my defense, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs, 4,900.
I'm going to take, at my quarterback position, I'm going to take my quarterback start of the week, Geno Smith, 7,600.
Nice. In my flex, this is going to be an interesting one. In my flex, I'm going to go with Trey McBride, 4,800.
Okay. Saving that change. I see. Yeah, I'm in my flex. I'm going to take Latavius Murray, 6,200, going against Carolina.
And because Greg sniped me with my wide receiver, I'm going to go down $100. I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle. He's 8,100. He's got some upside. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. As my third receiver, I'm going to have faith, and I'm going to take Treylon Burks, 5,900.
No.
What a great price. I mean, I'm sure, getting those big banks because that Treylon Burks option was pretty cheap. So, yeah, slide him in there. Wide receiver 3, you heard?
Oh, no. I should have went with him first. I knew it. As soon as I picked Jalen Waddle, I was like, I messed up. I should have went Treylon Burks.
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's terrible, bro. Especially because there's like nobody else. Okay.
No.
I'm just gonna go get my guy Garrett Wilson. He's 6K.
Okay, there you go. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then my defense, yeah. Oh no, tight end David Njoku, tight end start of the week, 5,600.
As my quarterback, my last pick, I'm taking Lamar Jackson. My quarterback start of the week.
There you go.
8,200.
And I'm gonna take real cheap. I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns defense, 3,200. Slide them in there.
Okay. So, damn it, man. Mike's so upset. It's crazy that the Treylon Burks one hurts more than the T.
Yeah.
Because that price, man.
It all brings the lineup together for sure. That cheap price.
And they're in the same game, so you get all right. My quarterback is Lamar Jackson, 8,200. My running back is Jeff Wilson Jr., 7,700. My RB2 is Rachaad White, 6,400. Wide receiver 1, Juju Smith-Schuster, 6,600. My wide receiver 2, Jalen Waddle, 8,100. Wide receiver 3, Garrett Wilson, 6,000. Tight end is Mark Andrews, 7,300. My flex is tight end Trey McBride, 4,800. And then my defense is the Kansas City Chiefs, 4,900.
Love it. Got Geno Smith at quarterback, 7,600. Damian Pierce, RB1, 6,900. Austin Eckler, first pick, 8,800. Jalen Burks, 5,900 at the wide receiver position. Terry McLaurin, 7,500 wide receiver 2. T. Higgins, 8,200 wide receiver 3. David Njoku at my tight end, 5,600. Latavius Murray as my flex at 6,200. And the Cleveland Browns defense, 3,200. Yes, sir.
It's a great lineup, Greg. Just particularly those two players that you have.
They had to have been great plays. Maybe I was also dreaming about your players too.
Oh man, this is a bad feeling, man. Greg's about to go up 2-0 in a week, in the same week. That's how I feel, man.
3 straight wins too. That'd be a
3
real
straight wins.
Oh man,
that hurts, man. It really hurts. Everybody, we appreciate you. We appreciate you tapping in with us. Have a good weekend. Enjoy all the football. If you live in the Northeast, stay dry. I'll be out there in MetLife watching, hoping Justin Fields plays. Hoping.
Yeah, you love that.
I would love to see that. But anyway, y'all, appreciate you. Appreciate y'all spending this Saturday morning with us. Have a good one. Enjoy the weekend. And we'll talk to you on Monday. We're out of here.
Peace. We out.